Welcome to WGSN-DB Going Solo Network, and this is a Senior Citizens Forum sponsored by Benefits for You Too Insurance Services, where they specialize in health insurance and senior health insurance plans. That's Medicare Advantage plans, Medicare supplemental plans, and prescription drug plans. I'm Janice Wood, your host for today. And my guest today is Lauren Stokes-Starkus. And Lauren actually is my assistant. She's been my assistant for over five years
at this point.
Definitely over 5 years. But Lauren has an interesting background. She went to, what was it?
I went to a school, a pharmacy technician school. So I have a pharmacy technician license.
Right.
I also do have some background in medical billing and coding.
Right. And I know who she worked for, and they did medical billing and coding for several different doctors. And from that background, she was also working with me while she was doing that. And with her 5 years experience with me, she's been hearing all about, benefits, how important benefits are, knowing your benefits. But she's also heard phone calls come through from my clients who have questioned their bills, okay? And want to know why they haven't been paid. And we've done some research for them to see how,
Done a lot of research, see what we can do to help figure out some of these bills that aren't very straightforward and a little bit hard to decipher.
So we've learned a lot, and then also we both have experience of our own personal bills. Mm-hmm. She also has been helping her parents with their personal medical bills, okay? And we also have our friends and families coming together to asking us questions all the time concerning bills.
All sorts of things that aren't really easy to decipher if you do not have a background in insurance, billing, anything.
Right. So did you know that 80% of medical bills have some form of mistake on it?
That's a really big number to have on a bill.
It's a huge number. I thought it would be like 45, 50%. But when I was doing some research of that, they actually said it was 80%. And the biggest reason for that is good old human error. And as a person that put the codes in, you have that experience.
I do. When it comes to coding, codes are thousands of different codes just in a generic list that you have to type up and find. So it's very easy to get one digit off, whether you are typing too fast, your finger slips. It's very easy to make human error on medical bills.
Right. And what are those codes? Those codes represent all the different things that you go to the doctor for. Okay. So if you go to the doctor for a blood test, or you have, say you broke your leg, or you had a heart attack, or you just had a plain old exam, we can go on for hours just listing all the different thousands and thousands of different codes. So that can make a difference of the doctor being paid $100 or $10,000.
Yeah, when it comes to coding, if you go in for a wellness exam, but it gets coded as a massive heart attack, that's a very big difference in procedural codes.
Absolutely, absolutely. So who's affected by these mistakes?
Everyone, if we're really thinking about it. If bills are wrong, now medical groups aren't getting paid, doctors aren't getting paid, individuals are paying for things that they don't owe money on because of a simple human error, because someone didn't know how to read their bill.
They didn't. Well, not because the inputted wasn't correctly. Okay.
Well, there's all sorts of ways for people not to get paid, whether it be inputting it incorrectly, the bill being wrong. There's all sorts of people that lose out on money when these things aren't done correctly.
So when you think about it, the doctor could be losing money, but maybe the doctor's making money they shouldn't be making because it's been billed wrong to you. Okay. And that's where my biggest concern is right now as the patient consumer,
Yes.
okay? So if you're getting a bill and it's not correct, may it be because you were it's showing a date that you actually never went to the doctor. It's showing a procedure you never had, okay? Maybe some of these bills are like over a year old and you're finally getting a bill on it. I mean, there's so many reasons for the mistakes, or why, I'm going to bring up the word for the first time, why you should be reading and understanding what the bills are. But the sad part about it is there's also fraud.
There's a lot of fraud, especially when we get into the senior community. A lot of seniors are being targeted just because we're not reading our bills correctly. We don't understand our benefits, so we don't know what we should be paying for, what we shouldn't be paying for. And there's also when things get coded wrong. They could be coded wrong on purpose to have more money. You really have to look into the fraudulent side of this billing.
Right. And as a senior, and I'm going to be funny right now, I don't want to be billed for somebody's pregnancy when I know perfectly well I didn't have that baby.
Are you sure?
I don't know. I don't know, but you don't know, okay? And one of the things in doing research on this, there's something that's called third-party vendors. And that's more on the hospital side.
What exactly is a third-party vendor?
Well, a third-party vendor is when, let's say, basically like you're in the hospital and you're in network. Okay. So if everybody knows what in-network is, you're in-network, that means that your insurance is going to pay for because the facility you're using has a contract with the insurance carrier. Okay. All right. But sometimes what I've been reading is that some of these hospitals use third-party vendors that are not contracted with your insurance company, which is really confusing because there's so many different insurance carriers out there. And within the insurance carriers, there's all these different contracts that you can have. Okay. So it's massive and confusing, okay? Now, I experienced third billing when I went into the hospital a couple of years ago. I had an ultrasound done. The hospital was in my network, but the ultrasound company that was contracted with the hospital, it wasn't covered by my insurance. They were out of network.
What do you do at this point when you have these bills from out-of-network vendors, but you didn't know they were out of network?
Well, that goes back into patients' rights, which I'm going to talk about in a little bit longer. But just real quickly, they should be having you sign something letting you know that this is happening. Yes. And then you need to work with your insurance company to get it paid, because the hospital actually referred you to them, and they should be working with you to help you get it paid. But we'll talk about that more in a little bit. But just wanted to bring up some of the things that are in there. Now, what should you do as a patient? Okay. All right. Now, because I'm an insurance person and I happen to be an insurance broker, I represent a wide variety of different carriers who have different types of plans. So it's really important that you know what your benefits are.
Yes, that's a very, very, very big thing. A lot of people get billed for stuff that their insurance should cover by third-party vendors, but unless you know your benefits, you wouldn't know that that should be covered.
Okay, so an example for how benefits change. So if you go to the doctor, something really basic, okay, and say in 2022, you paid nothing to see that doctor. It could change that now all of a sudden you have to pay $10 to go see that doctor. So is that $10? That is called a co-payment because it's a flat fee. Okay. So what do you think a co-insurance would be?
A co-insurance would be, if you know what a co-op is, it's the same thing as a co-op. So it is, you pay part of it, the plan is going to pay another portion.
Very good.
Yes.
Very good. Good explanation. So I like to say a coinsurance is, which it actually is a percentage. So you need to know what those percentages are. So in some plans, it's going to be 10%, going to be 20%, it's going to be, or it can be 30%. It can be high as 50%.
That's a high number.
It's a very high number because I like to, when I explain this, talk about $1,000. So if I'm paying 10% of $1,000, I'm paying 100. But if I'm paying 50% of $1,000,
That's $500.
that is $500.
That's a lot of money. That's a big jump.
That's a lot of money out of my pocket. So you need to know. Also, what you need to know when you look at your benefits, what is your deductible? It's very, very important to know what your deductible is. And so the deductible may say, before your services start, or you pay any fee, you have, before the insurance kicks in, which is better, okay, you have to pay, I'm using just a figure, $1,000. Sometimes it can be almost $20,000. It depends upon your plan. And again, it changes from year to year. Okay.
Very important to review those plans every year, because what you may be paying one year, you'll be very surprised when you don't go over your plan, and the next year that number doubles, because deductibles do change every year.
Yeah, it can change every year. So for something that you were paying $15 for this year, maybe you're paying 15% for next year. Makes a major difference. So you really need to know that. And that's, I can't express that enough, how you need to know your benefits. Not the most exciting subject to get to know, but when your pocketbook is, and your bank account starts going down quickly, knowing those benefits is very, very important, okay? Not only do you get your bill from the hospital or from the medical group or from the lab, okay? You also will get a summary, which we're going to bring up and show you, from your insurance carrier. Now, these summaries don't all look the same, but this happens to be a summary that I have of when I went into the hospital last summer on August 5th, 2022. And I just think this is a really good example. So if you notice in column number 1, it says service date. On that service date, it shows the date of service when it happened. The next column, it shows the service that was performed, okay? Then the next one, it has a reason code, and that reason code has something to do with Medicare. And we've looked at several bills, and not all of them have that reason code on it. So it's going to depend upon the carrier, because it can be different from carrier to carrier. Even from carrier to carrier summary, it may show something different, okay? On this one, it's going to show my hospital charges. Sometimes it will show medical charges or lab charges, depending upon what you had done, okay? Then it's going to show, on this one, it shows a discount. I really can't explain it, but this is their terminology, okay? Here it says due to the hospital, it says 0. Then it says, on here it shows what my carrier cross paid is. Not quite sure what that is either, because this is terminology. It's going to be different from one summary to the next. I'm sorry, it's not uniform, but it's not, okay? Then it has a little orange section over here, orange brownish section, and it says you pay 0. But I want to go over this section with you because it uses the word copay. So what we said earlier, a copay is a flat fee. On this particular one, I have no copay. The next one talks about a deductible. So if you had a deductible and it was $1,000, I'm making it simple, $1,000, and you paid $50 of that, it's going to show that in there, what you paid of your deductible. This is why you need to look at your benefits. The next one, you have your share of cost, which is a co-insurance, okay? So co-insurance, remember I said a few minutes ago, that's a percentage of something. So it's going to show it if it's, you paid $200 for a $2,000 procedure.
Yes.
Okay. And then it has services not covered. So on this particular thing, I had no services not covered. It's all zero because my insurance paid for the whole thing. But if you look at this, I was in the emergency room for a couple of hours. I had sprained my foot. Somehow I sprained some muscles in my foot. 3 hours I was there. If you look at the very bottom row where it says totals, look how much it cost the insurance company. $4,051. Now, if I had more things going on in here, I would have to have paid part of that.
That's a big number to have to pay.
That's a big number, but also remember that this is some part of this is Medicare is picking up some of this also, because I am over the age of 65. Okay. So, but in, if you have a PPO insurance, you're going to have more co-insurances. You can have co-pays also, but you're going to see more co-insurances in PPOs. In Medicare Advantage plans, HMOs, you're going to see a lot of co-pays, okay? All right, to go along with them. So this is just one example, but I would take this example and compare it against the bill. Now, I got a bill from the insurance company. I mean, this is, I have a stack of them. I mean, must have had 10 that all leads up to what the summary was. And I've looked at it and they asked me for $100 in January. Okay. I think I have that right here. No, I don't. Okay. They asked me for $100 in January. And I called them up and they said, well, that's because the insurance company hadn't paid. I remember going back and looking at my bank account, my statement for because I put it on a credit card. I paid $100, but then I went ahead and paid $100 again in March. And now I called them up and they said, don't worry about it. Now I'm getting a bill for $5.16. This is crazy. And I'm thinking they owe me money.
They do.
They do, okay? But it's real important that you look at all of these different things, because you don't have to pay a bill when it comes in without questioning them. These bills can come in with no explanation. Do you have the one with the no explanation in there?
Yes.
So we're going to show you a bill without any explanation. Give us a moment. We'll have that up. Yeah. But you just had it.
So here is a bill I received from a surgery that my husband had. And if you notice, they have transaction dates and service dates, but there is no explanation for the amount I owe. It's very confusing under the amounts what I do owe. And this is where knowing your benefits comes into place. You want to make sure you know your benefits. So when you get these bills and you decipher them, you know if you actually owe this money or not.
Right. And if you look at this bill, this is one of the things that's really interesting about this bill. There's several things interesting about this. Okay. First, if you look over where it says statement date, it's dated 5/26/2023. This is May of this year that this is, and that they got this bill.
We got this bill within the last few weeks, but the service date for the surgery was June 14th of 2022.
Now, if you look at the side, you go down into the actual statement, it says transaction date in the first column, service dates in the next column, and then it says description, and then it says amounts, okay? So when Lauren brought this to me, I was like, what is this? Okay.
We had a hard time because it does say that there are insurance payment, but it does not give the description of why those payments are on the bill.
And if you look at all it shows the service date of 6/14/2022. So this is like 11, we're getting the bill, the statement, 11 months after the procedure was done, okay? And I don't know about you, if I don't write everything down, I do not remember it, okay?
Yes.
So I got to go back and look at these dates, okay? So we went back, we looked at these dates, and then we're looking at the description. Then it says, patients, self-pay payment. I don't know what that means. Did I pay myself? I don't know. What does that mean? It was $514, okay? Then it shows the insurance company billed. Okay, what did they bill the insurance company for? All right. Then it shows, if we look down, there's money written off. What does that mean? I have no idea. What does the insurance payment mean? All right. And then there's an adjustment where it's showing money going into the account. I mean, so what we did was we took all the negative amounts, which was in parentheses, and we added them up. Then we took all the positives and we added it up, and then we subtract, and we came up with the figure of $158.63. But my question to Lauren was, did you ever get any explanation of this?
We have no explanation of this bill. We were given this bill and told we have to pay. That was all we were given. We are currently in the process of calling the company to get an actual itemized bill so we know what we are paying for, to make sure that it is something that our insurance didn't cover.
Right. And my favorite question to Lauren is afterwards was, what did I ask you?
What did you ask me?
I asked her, what are your benefits? What are your co-pays? What are your co-insurances? What are your deductibles?
And that is very important to know, knowing that I do have a $300 deductible, and knowing what my co-insurance is made it a lot easier to decipher this bill because I knew what my amounts were.
Okay. And at this point, she still hasn't received the summary from her insurance carrier, which when she gets it, she's going to go through that and look and see exactly what was charged. It's just, I mean, it's very scary.
It's very scary and it's very confusing.
Oh, totally.
Very confusing.
It is very confusing, and they don't make it easy, and it's not uniform. So if I went to one medical group versus another medical group, their statements look completely different.
Completely different statements. They can even have different coding numbers, different procedure codes.
Right.
So it's very hard to decipher one to the next.
One to the next. But usually the coding, because of the Center for Medicare and Medicaid Services, they require the coding to be pretty uniform. But you still want to make sure that they're using the right codes. Okay. You as a consumer are not going to know, as a patient, what those codes are. You're absolutely not going to know. I've had clients call me up and say, I want to know what the code is for this procedure. Now, why are they calling me up and asking me that? Because they want to know what it's going to cost them before they go in.
Yes.
Okay. Me as an insurance agent, that's not really what I'm supposed to do is find that out. But this is where you call the insurance company. And most of the time, the people in the insurance companies that answer the phone in the member services or customer services department, they don't know what
Yes.
those codes are. And when you get your evidence of coverages, they don't know what those codes are. So to find out what it's going to cost you is pretty hard. But I think it's a smart thing that you do that before you go in. But at least know your benefits, because if you have a co-insurance and you're paying $20,000, and excuse me, not $20,000, 20%, what are you paying 20% of? $50,000, $100,000. You don't know. If you're going into the hospital, and I know from looking at the benefits, you can go into the hospital, not in the Medicare world, but in the pre-Medicare world, it's going to say hospital facility charge. Okay. So are you paying 20%, 30%, 40%? What is that? Then it will say surgical room fees. What are you paying? 20%, 30%? You need to know. So if I were you, I would want to know, what is that surgeon fees going to be? What is those anesthesiologist fees are going to be?
Don't be afraid to ask questions. Asking questions is always good. That will help you with understanding the amounts of money, the benefits, the charges, the services. Always ask questions.
Yeah, with senior health plans, it's a little bit different because it's different. So if you're going to the hospital, depending upon the plan, majority of it is going to be paid for, but you're going to know upfront, right, what it is you're going to pay. Okay. But with pre-65 plans, you don't know what it is that you're going to pay. So I would be make sure you're looking at that. Definitely look at that. Those summaries are real important. Also, we have something we like to show you, which you can find on the back of your insurance carrier. Okay. Just give us a second here. And actually, I'll talk about this particular one talks about grievances. It shows you where you can go. We have blocked out because this is a specific carrier. Okay. And it shows you what you can do and what your rights are. It's very important. So going through these rights, or I don't know what else to say, you need to know what your rights are. I know in the Medicare world, we talk about what your rights are. You have the right to grieve, you have a right to an appeal. But if you want to grieve a payment, this is what the procedure that you take.
And with each different carrier, if you need the phone number for them, you could look on the back of your card and call customer service. They can give you the number to file grievances. They can help you with all of that.
So we're going to take a little break right now to hear from our sponsor. This is WGSN-DB Going Solo Network. Welcome back to WGSN-DB Going Solo Network. This is a Senior Citizens Forum, and I'm Janice Wood, your host, and my guest is my right hand. She is my right hand. She runs my life almost.
Everything.
Okay, everything. Lauren Stokes Starkis. Her name is a tongue twister. Okay, so we've been talking about why it's so important that you know your insurance benefits, your health insurance benefits, why it's important that you go through and you review them on an annual basis, even though we know it's boring, it's not exciting, but if you have to use those benefits, you need to know what they are. The insurances, things are not, I want to say like cookie cutter. Okay?
They're not uniform across the
They're
board.
not uniform. That's the correct word. Across the board. Bills look different. The insurance companies' summaries, which are real important to review. And I know I go into my clients' homes, and I'll say, "Do you review your summaries?" Oh no, they go into the circular file. Okay, to be nice, the circular file, or they'll say, "Oh, we've been waiting for you to come visit." Okay.
And then we get a stack that big.
You get a stack that big, okay, and we review them. But if we don't know what the bills are to coincide with it, and you don't know the dates. So real quickly, I want to talk about dates and how important it is to know what the dates are. Because I know I'm a senior citizen, but I live by a calendar because I do so many different things. So I have to write things down. So one of the things I received this bill, okay? And the procedure on the bill was dated 8/22/2022. The date on the bill is 12/15/2022, okay? And on here, it says that the charges were $700. I look at this and I'm showing that there was an adjustment for $134.50. And I'm going, all right. And now I owe $412. I go back into my calendar and I'm going, I don't show that I went to the doctor on that date. So what did I do? I called the medical group, because that's what you should go the first thing, because they could have coded wrong. They could have done many things different wrong. And I say on here because there's no explanation in here or description of what took place. It just says you owe. And I say to them, what is this for? And her comment was, you just have to pay it, which absolutely sends me skyrocketing, because I've had that comment made to me many times, especially when I dealt with my mother's bills years ago. And I asked for explanations, and this is before I was in the health insurance business. I don't have to just have to pay anything. I want an explanation. Well, you have to pay it and you owe it, and we're going to send it to collection. They're threatening me, okay? And I'm going, wait a second. I want to know what I paid for, because I went to your medical group one time, not on that date, on another date, and all of that's been taken care of. Correct?
Yeah.
All of it was taken care of. And she said, no, you owe it. So what do? I get out my card, just like she said. I call the back of my medical coverage insurance company. And what did they tell me? They said, we've never received any claims for that date, and not for anything medical for you. We don't have any idea what this is about. My medical group called them up, and at least they found out what the procedure was for. They said it was for an endoscopy. Would I not remember having an endoscopy?
I would hope you'd remember that.
I hope. I mean, I know, would I not remember that somebody put me out to do that? Yes, absolutely. Okay. And I'm going, I've never had an endoscopy done on my wife. All right. So my name is Janice Wood. Is that not a common name?
Very common name.
I mean, not as common as Smith, but it's a common name. Okay. And so they put me on the call, for a third-party call. And the lady said, you have to pay it. So you're gonna have to file a dispute then. We'll send you the paperwork. I said, is there somebody else that you're seeing with the same name? Well, I never received the paperwork. I have never received anything from them again, okay? But what I've done is that I write notes on these things now. Okay, because from another profession I was in, okay, I learned that you have to do paper trails. Not only would I write notes on this, now because I'm computer literate, I make notes in my computer. I start little things in there, but I have never heard from this company again.
When we want to make sure when we're keeping these records, we want to write down dates and times, phone numbers called, names of people talked to. We want to keep very accurate records. So when they tell you, you just have to pay it, you can go back with your records. I called you on this time. I talked to this person. You want to make sure that's a very clear record.
Yeah. So when you pay something, write on there the date that you pay it, okay, and where you paid it from. Because if you're like me, I got to figure out where I paid something from. All right. If not, you just write down the date that you paid it. So you can go back and follow through, because in this day and age, we pay things online. So we don't have that same paper trail that we used to have. So I keep this stuff for at least 2 years, and then I get rid of it.
Yes.
I mean, and some people I know will keep them 10 years.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is just an idea of what you can do to help protect yourself, but question it. Now, I have another personal story I would like to share. I don't have any of the paperwork because it's been about 7 years now, okay? I went into the hospital and I went to the wrong hospital, okay? And I had to take an ambulance trip to the hospital that was in the network. I was out of network and I went in network, okay? And the ground transportation or the ambulance, I think it was like $7,000 for them to go not even 5 miles.
Oh my goodness.
Okay, to go to the right hospital. Okay, so I get a bill, showing that I owe them $700 and some dollars. And this was like, I was getting ready for a very busy time in the medical insurance world. Okay, and I had never received a bill. I know they had sent me to collection already. Okay, and I had never received a bill from the ambulance service. And I went, well, I'll get to this. I need a bill from the ambulance service explaining it, what this is. So a couple months later, this is now it's at the end of the calendar year, going into the new calendar year. And I get a phone call saying this is the collection agency again. And I owe them $700, I think $747. Okay. So what happened with that particular? And I said, well, if I remember correctly, I don't pay for ambulance or ground transportation. And he said, I don't care what your insurance coverage is, this is what you owe. He had no idea I'm an insurance person, okay? I sell insurance. I said, well, this doesn't sound right. I took out my medical card, okay? Called up the insurance company, and they said, we paid everything that's supposed to be paid. She looked it up and she said, you don't have to pay. You were right, you don't have to pay anything. So I knew my benefit, okay? She calls him up and he said, we don't care what, this is exactly the words, we don't care what you say or she says, this is what she owes and she has to pay it, $746. And the representative on the phone says to him, because she told me what she said, I think this lady knows her rights. She's going to file a grievance against you. I hung up from the insurance company. Not more than 2 minutes later, I get a phone call from the ambulance past due, collection people saying, I just heard from the insurance company that you're going to file a grievance against us. I'm going to write this in your records. But the way he said it, he was trying to intimidate me. Okay. And I just said, why are you trying to intimidate me? This is not right. Yes, I'm going to file it and go write it in your records. I really don't care. Okay. So they have, when you file a grievance or even appeal, they have certain amount of days. The insurance company is going to say they're going to accept your dispute. Okay. Or the grievance, however words you want to put it in. Okay. He knew to the date when I was going to get the letter, because the day I opened up the letter, I got a phone call from him saying, are you still going through with your grievance? I absolutely am. I want a copy with what you just got in the mail. I'm going, one, why are you calling and harassing me? Two, don't call me ever again. You deal with my insurance company. And guess what? I didn't pay that.
And that's another reason why it's so important to know your rights. So many people would just pay this. You need to know your benefits. You need to know your rights.
You need to know your benefits. You need to know your rights. So this is so very, very important. And I don't know what else to say. Now I had, from when I was in the hospital, that same hospital, I had an ultrasound. Remember we talked about third-party vendors earlier? Okay. So with the third-party vendor, I received a bill for $47. $47 in the medical world is not that big of a deal, okay? And they said, well, you need to pay it. I call the insurance carrier. They said they never received it from them. They called and they got it taken care of. The third-party vendor that provided the ultrasound never billed the insurance company. They billed me directly. Now, one of the things that's interesting about this, it wasn't more than a couple weeks later, I get a phone call from one of my clients who used the same ultrasound company. And she was billed something like $7,000. Now, we're talking some major change here, okay? And I knew her benefits, and I knew she wasn't supposed to have to pay for that. She took out her card. I told her, take out your card, call customer service. Again, they didn't bill the insurance company. They didn't send it over. They billed her directly. If she wouldn't have questioned it and just paid it, she would have been out the money.
That's a lot of money to be out of.
That is a lot of money. So that's why it's important that you know what your patient's rights are. You know that Lauren and I were talking earlier, and she was saying in the hospital, which is something that I didn't know, that they have a patient right advocates that can help you.
They have patients' right coordinators when you are in the hospital. So if you ever have any sort of questions or concerns, or you don't know what they are talking about, you can actually ask for a patient's right advocate to come to your room and help advocate for you and your care.
Right. And I know when you're sick, it's not the time you want to be worrying about what your benefits are. So again, I'm going to go back and say, review those benefits when it's not that important. And if you can't do it, or you need to do it for a loved one that can't do it, or for a friend who I consider sometimes they're my loved ones also, okay? Then they should be help you review your benefits. Or if you're an insurance person like I am, agent like I am, I will review those benefits with you. I go the extra mile for my clients, okay? Because it's very important to me that my clients are not taken advantage of.
And just simply knowing your benefits, it can save you time, money, effort, headaches. It's very simple to learn these benefits. It'll save you so much time just going through your benefit book once or twice and knowing what you have.
Absolutely. And I know it's not exciting, but when you hit that emergency room and you don't know what you have, or you get these bills and you don't understand what they are. So one of the things I think is really important is that when you go to the doctor, make sure you have those dates written down. It doesn't seem important, but after getting ready to do this show today, I think it's even more important that you know what it is. And I think we've learned some stuff in preparing to do this show today.
We've learned a lot on this.
Yes.
This is a very, very big subject.
I mean, and we could talk a lot longer with this, and this is probably something that we're gonna do again in the future, is talk about this particular subject again. Also, know that you have the right to do grievances and appeals. You also, and we're going to post some of this information up here so you know where to go and look for it. The Consumers Report has 6 ways on how to fix mistakes in your medical bills and how to go about doing it. But make sure when you're doing that and you find these lawyers, you find these advocates, make sure they're not scammers that are trying to take your money, but look at them. Also, the federal government has a Consumers Financial Protection Bureau that will help you. We're going to post how to get
We'll post all these links below for you to go ahead and check out all this information.
For you to check out this information. It's so very, very important for you to know that you have patient rights. Okay, look on the back of your medical bills. So if I look on the back of this medical bill, there's all kinds of information on here with what my rights are. Look on the back of those insurance carrier information. They have information. Each state has different rules and protection. So check and see what your state has. In researching this, I found the state of California had a lot of information up there. Also, the state of Utah have a lot of information. So check your state. So check your states to see what protection they have. And please feel free to give us a call, either Lauren or myself. We're more than happy to help you out. And again, go back to your medical groups. They should be able to help you out because they may be able to correct it, especially if it's human error. But sometimes those medical groups are not easy to get through. So thank you for watching, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Bye.
Hi, I'm John Thomas. I want to share with you a professional products and services directory we call Going Solo Directory, and you need to check this out. If you want exposure to your business or are seeking professional product or services, this directory has it all. And that membership, for the many special features, you get the benefit of a worldwide exposure with a 40-minute video interview on an international business show showcase. All this for just one low annual fee. For more information, contact GoingSoloDirectory.com.